Hey, welcome back. I'm here to finish talking about the weapons of Bayonetta 3. I'm sorry it took so long. After I uploaded the last video, I went on a small vacation, so thank you all for your patience. Here, I'm going to talk about the names of the weapon techniques and the Demon Masquerade forms. For the techniques, I'll try to group them in matching categories for each weapon, and for the Masquerades, I'll be talking about their designs. Let's get started. The contracted demon attached to Color My World is Madama Butterfly. For All For One, it's Madama Sticks. The weapons share the same techniques as each other. We're going to start with returning moves from the first two games. These include Afterburner Kick, Heel Slide, Rising Barrel, Full Moon Shoot, Full Auto, and Bullet Climax. These moves keep Color My World and All For One feeling familiar despite all the changes that came with this game. Now I'm going to list new or upgraded techniques. Blink Charge, Pulverized Blow, Heart Attack, Astounding Touch, Gut Wrench Heal, and Concussion Step. Upgraded techniques or moves that resemble the old techniques include Blink Charge, which resembles Umbran Spear, Pulverized Blow, which resembles Witch Strike, Heart Attack resembles Tetsuzanko, and Gut Wrench Heal resembles Heel Stomp, but they both have new charging properties that change the move entirely and have Bayonetta dance. New techniques that are different and we haven't exactly seen before are Astounding Touch and Concussion Step. These two completely replace the original inputs for Bullet Climax. The next three techniques take inspirations from butterflies and moths. Chrysalis. A chrysalis or nympha is the pupal stage of a butterfly. Chrysalis and cocoon are often used interchangeably, but they are distinct. A chrysalis is the stage between a caterpillar and a butterfly. For moths and some other insects, the pupal stage is called a cocoon. It would be nice if All For One's chrysalis move was called Cocoon. Flutter. To flutter is to fly unsteadily or hover by flapping the wings quickly and lightly. Butterflies and moths can hover. Nectar Seeker. Butterflies and moths drink nectar so they seek nectar. Nectar is a sugary liquid plants produce to attract pollinators. This is a form of mutualism. Mutualism is when two or more species benefit from an interaction between them. In this case, the pollinator gets a sweet drink, and the plants are able to spread their pollen. Common pollinators outside of butterflies and moths are bees, wasps, mosquitoes, hoverflies, honey eaters, hummingbirds, and bats. The only move to be alone in its type of name is Baselard, being named after a weapon. A Baselard is a dagger or short sword from the late Middle Ages. The Masquerade Rage move for Color My World and All For One is Masquerade Queen. Since Color My World and All For One are the beginning weapons for Bayonetta and Jean, it makes sense that the name is simple. Masquerade refers to Demon Masquerade as a skill, and Queen could be a subtle foreshadowing to Queen Butterfly, but the simple name might just be so it's easy to understand. When activating it, Bayonetta says,
"Time to take the gloves off. Think you can handle it?"
and Jean says,
"Think you can dance with me? Just try not to die on your feet."
Both Bayonetta and Jean have their Demon Masquerade form with their respective Madamas as the new shadows. It further builds upon an Umbra Witch's shadow being a sign of their contract. This goes for all the weapons. Their contracted Demon's Masquerade becomes a shadow for Bayonetta and Jean. When Bayonetta and Jean are in Demon Masquerade with Color My World and All For One, their skin is colored to match their Madama. Their wings are colored the same way with a more saturated color and gradient that fits the respective user. Another difference between them is the antenna. Bayonetta gains butterfly antenna and Jean gets moth antenna. The fuzzy parts of their bodies resemble the bodies of moths. The fuzz you see on a moth is called chitin. Chitin is a material that is used in the wings of the order Lepidoptera. Lepidoptera is the order that includes butterflies and moths, and they're called Lepidopterans. The lines that cover their body resembles the lines seen on the wings of Lepidopterans. These lines are actually veins that give structure to their wings. In key points on the Masquerade, the veins form a heart shape. Their legs are designed in a way to resemble a mixture of a human's and Lepidopteran's legs. Their eyes resemble the compound eyes of anthropods. These eyes are composed of units called ommatidia, which are typically hexagonal. Just so I don't have to keep repeating it for all the forms. All of the forms change Bayonetta's mole into a splatter shape, and they're all adorned with jewelry with gems on them. The jewelry resembles flowers, leaves, and buds, and they're shaped in a multitude of ways. For example, in the shape of crescents that match the infernal demon crescent. Bayonetta's jewelry is gold, and the gems are either pink or purple, which match the jewels on her main outfit. If you look closely, the gems are shaped like eyes, and some of the jewelry resembles closed eyelids. Jean's gems are cyan, which match Jean's earrings and moth clip. Jean's masquerade forms usually change black for white or platinum, and the red accents are changed to a cyan color. Most of the eyes are like this. Red and cyan are complementary colors, which means a pair of colors that have the strongest contrast when next to each other. The contracted demon attached to G-Pillar is Gomorrah. We're going to start simple and do two techniques that directly reference deadly sins: Greed Rush and Prideful Flame. The biblical sister cities of Sodom and Gomorrah were considered sinful and destroyed, so it would make sense for G-Pillar to have some sin name techniques, but I wish they had more. Next are two techniques that could be referencing weather. These techniques are Demon Pulse and Tremor Slam. Demon Pulse could refer to a pulse storm. Pulse storms produce severe weather but for a short period of time, and when it weakens it can generate another short burst of weather, which is what the word pulse refers to. Tremor Slam refers to earth tremors. A tremor is a light earthquake. Bayonetta is slamming you hard enough to cause a light earthquake, which is shown with the shockwaves. The next four techniques refer to the parts of dragons or dragons in general: Ashen Claw, Dragon Burst, Worm Snout, and Wormtail. Ashen Claw references Gomorrah's claws, and claws are a common feature for dragons. The word ashen means gray, which Gomorrah is. Dragon Burst just straight up references a dragon. Burst refers to explosions, which would be why it's attached to the shoot button. Worm Snout and Wormtail refer to worms. Worms is also spelled worms with an O instead of a Y. Worms are Germanic dragons, which Gomorrah kinda looks like. Snouts and tails are common features on a dragon. The next three techniques refer to Gomorrah being savage and violent. These are Blast Shredder, Rending Surge, and Rupture Slash. Shredder is someone or something that tears something into shreds. Rending means tearing something into two or more pieces, and Rupture means to break or burst suddenly. Two techniques refer to G-Pillar and Gomorrah breathing fire: Gloating Flame and Twin Scorcher. Not exactly a very sinful action, but to gloat is to smugly dwell on one's own success or another's misfortune. But flame is fire, so that's why Gloating Flame is in this category. Twin Scorcher refers to Bayonetta's two hands spitting fire. A scorcher is a very hot day, but to scorch is to burn the surface of something with flame or heat. The rest of these I can't really group anywhere, but I'll talk about each. Barrel Invader. Barrel means a tube forming a part of something such as a gun, and invader means someone who enters a region to subjugate or occupy it. Dual Denial. Dual Denial is Bayonetta using both her arms to do a palm slam. Dual means two or double, and denial can mean to stop someone or prevent someone from doing something. Intruder Palm. An intruder is someone who puts themselves in a place that they're unwelcome or uninvited, kinda like an invader. A palm is the base of a hand. Bayonetta does a palm thrust, and that's what the name refers to. The Masquerade Rage move for G-Pillar is Seismic Tyrant Smash. So this name might sound random, but it's actually connected to Gomorrah deeply. A couple of these names have words that refer to royalty in a sense. Seismic relates to earthquakes or other vibrations of the earth. In Sin Gomorrah's Book of Infernal Demons entry, it speaks of a beast tyrant that ruled over all the Gomorrah in Johnson Forest. This is what tyrant refers to. To smash is to violently break into pieces. I think slam might have been a better word for the move though. When activating it, Bayonetta says,
This will be smashing.
and Jean says,
Your end has come.
Gomorrah's Demon Masquerade gives a magenta skin tone and Gomorrah's general scaly appearance. Bayonetta's hair bow seems to become untied and turn into two long sharp appendages that fit the theme. Bayonetta is covered with spikes and the skin becomes rough and sharp. She gains a tail that resembles a thin version of Gomorrah's. She also has two horns that resemble Gomorrah's. On Bayonetta's palm is a red diamond gem that emits flames and it's used to dash through the air. Her hands and feet gain sharp red claws. In this form, the eyes resemble what some lizards like geckos have, where they have thin lines that look like they have small circles scattered along them as pupils. The contracted demon attached to Ignis Araneae yo-yo is Phantasmarinae. Every technique is a yo-yo trick or a renamed yo-yo trick. A website I use to check most of them out is yoyotricks.com. You could also just look them up on YouTube. In the description I have a playlist of them since I didn't want to just take people's videos. I'd rather you go see them. Go ahead and check it out. The Masquerade Rage move for Ignis Araneae Yo-Yo is Atomic Ignition. Since Ignis Araneae Yo-Yo contains energy reactors and Phantasm Araneae has the ability to blow up his body, the word atomic may be used to think of explosions. The magma geysers are ignited by Bayonetta's Scorpion Stinger. When activating it, Bayonetta says,
Ready for a hot time? Your blood will be the only thing boiling.
and Jean says,
Prepare yourself! See the boiling blood of earth burst forth!
Phantasm Araneae's Demon Masquerade form has orange skin and has silver armor on the legs. The silver armor resembles spider webs. Like most arachnids, this form has 4 pairs of legs, an abdomen or opistosoma, and Bayonetta's head and torso act as the prosoma or cephalothorax. Throughout the design, it resembles the crust of the earth being cracked with magma seen flowing through those cracks. Somewhere within the abdomen appears to be a metasoma made of the magma we see concealed. The eyes contain 2 irises and pupils. This would possibly be a nod to the multiple eyes spiders have, with these 2 possibly being a nod to the anterior lateral and median eyes. The contracted demon attached to Dead End Express is War Train Go On. Like half of the technique names for Dead End Express are train related, unsurprisingly. I'll be talking about what each is. Accelerator. An accelerator is a device that controls the speed of a vehicle's engine. For a train, their accelerator is known as the throttle or regulator. Boiler charge. A boiler or steam generator is used to create steam by applying heat energy to water. Steam-powered locomotives have these kinds of boilers. To charge in this context means to rush forward and attack. Dark dispatch. Trains have dispatchers who direct and facilitate the movement of trains over an assigned territory. Dark in this context is thematic of darkness as an evil concept. Gear scream. I like to imagine gear scream as referencing the sound trains make when they brake, but it's probably only referencing the mechanical appearance of Bayonetta as a train. High tension. High tension means to have, to carry, or to be operating under a high voltage. This could be a reference to overhead lines, which are electrical cables used to transmit electrical energy to electric locomotives, trolleybuses, and trams. Inferno Wheel. The demons of the Bayonetta series reside in Inferno. Wheels are found on trains in a wheel set. Iron Horse. Iron horse is an old term for a steam locomotive back when horses still powered most machinery. It was used admiringly and it originated in the 1800s. Loco spiral. Loco in this phrase means locomotive, not the Spanish word for crazy. Loco is an informal British way to refer to locomotives. A spiral is a technique used by railways to be able to ascend steep hills. Instead of just going straight up, which most likely wouldn't work, it would make more sense to have the train travel in a spiral slowly ascending. Rough Rider. Rough Rider is probably a reference to the Great Western Railway 3800 class. They were a class of steam locomotives for express passenger train work introduced in 1904. They had a nickname known as Churchward's Rough Riders. Rumble Axle. An axle is the central shaft for rotating wheels or gears. Train wheels are affixed to a straight axle, which allows both wheels to rotate together at the same time. For the next ones, I couldn't find solid train-related stuff, so I'll do my best connecting them to something. Cardiac wheelie. The word cardiac refers to the heart, and it's an informal British way to say a heart attack. A wheelie is a maneuver to balance a bike or motorcycle with the front wheel raised up. Hook wheelie. To make a hook in train terms is to couple 2 pieces of equipment together, and I already said what a wheelie is. Both these moves have Bayonetta ride the weapon like a motorcycle. Speed chopper. Bayonetta speeds forward and chops up enemies with chainsaws. Not really much else to this, I think. Splatter saw. Bayonetta splatters enemies with a wide chainsaw swing. Also pretty simple. Nightmare swing. A nightmare is a bad dream, but it could refer to something either difficult to deal with or a terrifying or bad thing to experience. Bayonetta swings chainsaws multiple times, which sounds awful to deal with. Over roller. Bayonetta swings the chainsaw in a wide arc while a wheel rolls around you, damaging enemies. The Masquerade Rage move for Dead End Express is Deadlock Overdrive. Deadlocks occur when 2 or more trains are preventing each other from moving forward by occupying needed tracks. Overdrive in this context may mean a function that permits the exceeding of normal operating level in equipment. This explains why multiple tracks appear, but also the speed and power of Bayonetta rushing through all of them. When activating it, Bayonetta says,
All clear! All clear! Roll out! Don't think you can stop this train.
and Jean says,
All clear! All clear! Roll out! Don't count on an emergency brake!
War Train Goon's Demon Masquerade gives red skin and makes the lower body resemble a locomotive. Bayonetta has a conductor hat with a crescent moon on it that resembles a train's chimney. Her face has scratches on it and she has an eye patch. Her upper half is dressed like a train conductor. A cool detail to show this is the gold chain connected to the Umbran watch, which makes it resemble a chained pocket watch, typically used by train conductors. The locomotive bottom half has 4 pairs of wheels with each side having them coupled. Using white notation, I would categorize it as a 080. To my understanding, this means it has 0 leading wheels and 0 trailing wheels, but it has 8 driving wheels, which are the wheels that are powered with the coupling rod. It also has a saw blade underneath the end of the train. On top of the pilot or the cowcatcher of the train, you can see the phases of the moon. Throughout the design, it has an exposed heart and blood vessel motif. This was all supposed to come together with the eyes, which were supposed to resemble bulging veins and what looks like a red blood cell as a pupil. Unfortunately, in the main game, the eyes resemble regular human eyes. The contracted demon attached to Ribbit Libido-BZ55 is Ball. These first 8 techniques relate to music or sound. Acapella. Acapella music is a performance by a singer or group without instrumental accompaniment. It also refers to a piece meant to be performed this way. Allegretto. Allegretto is a tempo marking denoting a tempo that is moderately fast, 76 to 120 beats per minute. Tempo is the speed or pace of a given piece. Fortissimo. Fortissimo is a dynamic marking meaning very loud. Dynamics in music refers to the loudness between notes or phrases. Heavy voice. Heavy voice refers to vocal weight. This refers to the perceived lightness or heaviness of a singing voice. This is a major factor determining voice types such as baritone or soprano. Heavy voices are usually powerful, rich, and darker. Leggero. Leggero is a dynamics command to play or sing lightly. Presto. Presto is a tempo marking which marks tempo that is very fast, 168 to 200 beats per minute. Round score. A round in music means a musical composition in which a minimum of 3 voices sing exactly the same melody, but they begin at different times and fit harmoniously together. A score is a written form of a musical composition, so a round score would refer to the written form of a round. Stridente. Stridente is the Italian word for shrill, piercing, or screeching. It can also mean grating and unpleasant. These next 3 terms I think fit with the music industry instead of general music terms. Breakthrough. Breakthroughs in the music industry typically refer to the specific songs that turn an artist into a superstar or at least start their successful careers. Raging Gaga. Raging Gaga is a reference to Lady Gaga, a triple threat singer, songwriter, and actress. She played Bayonetta according to this tweet by her. Also, in all the tweets she makes about Bayonetta, she seems to be quote-unquote raging. Rising Star. A rising star is someone who is quickly becoming popular or successful. These next 2 techniques have to deal with poison. Surf's Up. Surf's Up is a common phrase used in surfing when a nearby wave is passing. Bayonetta leaves geysers of poison behind her while she does a surfing motion. Venom Cycle. Venom is a poisonous substance secreted by animals and can be injected into prey or aggressors by biting or stinging. Some members of the order Araneae secrete poison. I couldn't find the good category for these last 3, so here we go. Balloon Horn. This is me after engaging in Bayonetta 3's story. Flash Rocket. This one truly stumped me. I'm leaning for the stretch that is, it's referencing Flash Gordon, whose soundtrack was composed and performed by Queen. There are rockets in the movie because it's a space opera. Spin your fins. When amphibians like frogs first hatch, they have gills and fins to be able to survive in the water. That's all I got. The Masquerade Rage move for Ribbit Libido-BZ55 is Queen of the Devildom. While we already got a name with Queen in it, this one I think references how music stars are called queens by their fans, such as the Queen of Pop and such. Devildom is another word for hell, or inferno. When activating this, Bayonetta or Jean begin to sing Let's Dance Boy's second Climax version, which shares its lyrics with Tomorrow's Mine, the main theme of Bayonetta 2. When activating it, Bayonetta and Jean sing. Ball's Demon Masquerade form has yellow-green skin and is adorned with bluish frilled skin that resembles Ball's collar and the webbing between the toes of frogs. Speaking of which, her hands and feet are webbed like a frog. The black parts of the skin are bumpy-like to resemble a frog's skin. These bumps are actually clusters of specialized glands. Some of these are mucus glands which lubricate the skin, and others are granular glands which produce poison and other protective chemicals. Bayonetta's mouth can open very wide like a frog when she uses her voice to attack. Her eyes resemble those of a frog with horizontal slit pupils. The contracted demon attached to Simoon is Malphus. Most of Simoon's techniques are transliterations of Arabic words. I will show the translations of the ones that are, and I will also show them written in Arabic. I used a combination of Google Translate and a guide that compares Arabic letters with English phonetics. Jana Layla, Nightwing. Nasim, breeze or gentle wind. Asifan, stormy. Minkar, beak. Zoba, whirlwind. Salib, sleep. Ria Kara, continental winds. Tufan, flood. Asifat, storm. Hana al-Gaba, forest wing or jungle wing. The following 5 terms are weapons. Asar Kopesh. A Kopesh is an Egyptian sword with a shape that resembles a sickle. Asar can translate to tornado, so this would be tornado sword. Jambia. A jambia is a dagger that originates from the Hadramaut region of Yemen, which has spread to other countries around the Middle East, other parts of the Arab world, and parts of South and Southeast Asia. Khanjar. A khanjar is a dagger that originated from Oman but has spread to the rest of the Middle East, South Asia, and the Balkans. Shamshir. A shamshir is a Persian Iranian sword with a really long curve. Zero Buk. A zero buk is a Persian dagger from the 18th to 19th century. The last technique is called Aldebaran. Aldebaran is a red giant star located in the zodiac constellation of Taurus. The name is Arabic and it means the follower. The Masquerade Rage move for Simoon is Taj Simurg. Taj means crown in Arabic. A Simurg is a benevolent mythical bird in Persian mythology. It appears as a peacock with the head of a dog and the claws of a lion. When activating it, Bayonetta says,
If I may, dance in the bladed caress of the wind.
and Jean says,
Follow my lead. Feel the sharp caress of the wind.
Malphus's Demon Masquerade has blue-green colored skin and what I can only describe to be a bird helmet. Bayonetta's face is under the beak of the helmet, and her ears are covered by it. The lines on her body are covered in scales or small hardened feathers that are shaped to symbolize the wind. Her shoulders are covered in black feathers that lead to her arms, which are now also wings that kind of resemble Malphus's. Her feet are now talons with red claws. All over her body are gold coins with an eye design. Interestingly, the underside of the wings, which are red, don't change to blue when Jean is being used, and instead changes to pink. The eyes on the bird head are light blue with a red outline, but her real eyes underneath the head are the same red as all the other masquerades, but were designed to look like regular eyes. The contracted demon attached to Tartarus is the Umbran Clock Tower. I love technique names like these. The techniques for Tartarus all refer to Greek mythology. We're going to start with Gate of Hecate. Hecate is the Greek goddess of witchcraft and is associated with the moon. She is also the goddess of boundaries, so that might be what the gate part is referencing. Tartarus is also designed like a gate. The next two techniques play off of each other. Bit of Charon and Acheron's Calm. Bit of Charon is named after Charon. Charon is the ferryman of the Greek underworld. He acts as a psychopomp and carries souls that have had funeral rites. Acheron's Calm names the river Acheron, which is often depicted as the entrance to the underworld. Charon transports souls on the river Acheron in most of his depictions, but this is sometimes changed with the river Styx. Next, we have two beasts that were slain by Heracles, a divine hero of Greek mythology and the son of Zeus. Nemean Roar. Nemean Roar references the Nemean lion. The Nemean lion was one of the beasts that Heracles was tasked with defeating. The lion had golden fur that was unaffected by attacks and had claws that were sharper than swords that could pierce strong armor. It is called the Nemean lion because it was attacking the city of Nemea. Othrys Gear. Othrys Gear is named after Othrys or Orthrus. Orthrus was a two-headed dog that guarded the cattle of Geryon and was slain by Heracles, but that wasn't the task. It was more of a byproduct of completing the task. He was assigned to obtain Geryon's cattle, but since it was guarded, he had to do what he had to do. Orthrus was the brother of Cerberus. Orthrus is the father of the Nemean lion. The next three techniques are named after the Araneae. The techniques are Alecto's Fury, Blade of Tisiphone, and Chain of Magira. The Araneae are the Greek goddesses of vengeance. They punished the crimes of murder for mortals. They were given the names Alecto, Tisiphone, and Magira. They are commonly depicted and described to have snakes for hair like the Gorgons, another group of three sisters. Alecto's Fury could make reference to the three sisters, also referred to as the Furies. Alecto's name means the implacable or unceasing anger. Blade of Tisiphone mentions Tisiphone, who is known as the Avenger. In Book 6 of Virgil's Aeneid, she is referred to as the guardian of Tartarus. Chain of Magira names Magira, whose name means the jealous one. Chain could refer to being chained when someone is punished. This fits since Tartarus is Rose's main weapon and she was chained when punished. The next three techniques are named after the Cyclopes. The three techniques are named Brontes Azero, Hammer of Seropes, and Spear of Argus. Cyclopes are giant, one-eyed creatures from Greek mythology. Specifically, the three brothers from Hesiod's Theogony, Brontes, Steropes, and Argus. They created Zeus's all-powerful thunderbolt. Because of this, the weapons and the techniques may be referencing them being weaponsmiths of sorts. They also made the Trident of Poseidon and the Cap of Invisibility for Hades. The names of the three brothers correspond to their role in the thunderbolt's creation. Brontes means thunder, Steropes means lightning, and Argus means bright. Finally, the last five techniques are named after the condemned souls of those in Tartarus, the deep abyssal dungeon of torment and suffering, and the namesake of the weapon. These techniques are Danaedes' Mist, Rest of Tityos, Sisyphus' Whisper, Thirst of Tantalus, and Wheel of Ixion. I will say their namesakes and what they were punished for and their punishment. When you hear the punishments, the name of the techniques makes sense. The Danaedes were the 50 daughters of Danaus. They were to marry the 50 sons of Danaus' twin brother Aegyptus, a mythical king of Egypt. All but one of them killed their husbands after being ordered to by their father. The ones that killed their husbands were punished in Tartarus by being forced to carry a jug to fill up a bathtub to wash their sins off. The catch was that the tub was bottomless or had a constant leak, which made it impossible to be able to wash their sins. Tityos was a giant. He was the son of Zeus and daughter of Elara, a mortal princess Zeus buried in the earth. Tityos attempted to kill Leto at Hera's command. As a result, he was slain by Leto's protective children Artemis and Apollo. As punishment in Tartarus, he was stretched out and tortured by two vultures who fed on his liver, which grew back every night. Sisyphus was the founder and king of Ephyra, which is now known as Corinth. He was punished for cheating death twice. The first time he cheated death was when he betrayed one of Zeus's secrets, so Zeus, the king of gods, ordered Thanatos, the god of death, to chain Sisyphus in Tartarus. Sisyphus noticed that Charon didn't show up, and he slyly asked how the chains worked. Thinking fast, Sisyphus trapped Thanatos in the chains while Thanatos was showing him and escaped. This caused death to stop entirely. In turn, Ares, the god of war, was upset wars weren't fun with his enemies not dying. He saved Thanatos and turned in Sisyphus. Sisyphus wasn't done though. He asked his wife to throw his dead naked body into the middle of the public square. This made Sisyphus appear on the shores of the river Styx in the underworld. He complained to Persephone, queen of the underworld, about how disrespectful his wife was to treat his body like that. he was able to persuade her to return to the upper world. Once caught, his punishment was being forced to roll up a boulder up a hill, but every time he made it close, it would roll back down, forcing him to start over for all eternity. The reason for this punishment in particular was to specifically punish his hubristic thought that he could be more clever than the gods. Tantalus was the mythological king of Phrygia. His most famous reason for punishment was offering up his son as a sacrifice to be eaten by the gods to test their omnipotence. As punishment in Tartarus, he was made to stand in a pool of water with a fruit tree's branches directly overhead. The catch to this was that whenever he went to reach for the fruit, the branches would raise out of reach, and when he crouched for water, it would recede. Essentially, he could never eat or drink. Tantalus and his punishment are where the word tantalize come from. Ixion was the king of Lapiths. Ixion I've mentioned before when I talked about Accolade. His son Centaurus had sex with a horse, and that's where centaurs come from. Anyway, Ixion killed his father-in-law and he could find no one to purify him but Zeus, a patron of hospitality, granted Ixion purification and admitted him as a guest into Olympus. Ixion, being garbage, decided to grow lustful of Hera, queen of the gods, and wanted to act on it. This is a big no-no in Xenia, an ancient Greek concept of hospitality. And honestly, it probably is not a great thing to do to your host or their partner nowadays either. Zeus was suspicious of him and decided to make Nephele, who was a cloud double of Hera, to see what Ixion would do if he woke up with her next to him. He began having sex with the double of Hera. Upon this, Zeus exiled Ixion from Olympus, struck him with a thunderbolt, and ordered Hermes to bind Ixion to a winged flaming wheel for all eternity, constantly spinning across the heavens, but later myths depict him spinning in Tartarus. The Masquerade rage move for Tartarus is Deus Ex Machina. So a few of you may think that this is the only non-Greek related technique for Tartarus, but you'd be wrong. Deus Ex Machina is an ancient phrase, and it is a Latin translation of the root words used for the Greek phrase apomechanis theos, which means God from the machine. The term was used literally as it referred to actors playing gods being brought onto a stage by machines, such as being lowered by a crane. One of the earliest critics of this, Antiphanes, said that Deus Ex Machina is a sign a playwright doesn't know how to manage the complications in their plots. He was born in 408 BC, just for a sense of how old the phrase is. Later, Deus Ex Machina refers to a seemingly impossible situation or problem getting solved or stopped by a random occurrence or person. When activating it, Bayonetta says,
Un, deux, trois. Welcome to the Happy Puppet Show.
and Jean says,
Un, deux, trois. It's showtime!
The Umbran Clock Tower's Demon Masquerade is infused with the souls of the fallen Umbra. The form has a gray-green skin and is held by strings like a marionette. The outfit she's wearing comes from the outfits of the witch apprentices. The back has what looks to be a wind-up key, but it's shaped like a crescent. The body is completely metal and runs on gears. Her hands are sharp claws. Half of her face is gone to reveal the inner workings of gears, and her ears are replaced with 2 glowing pink gems. Her eyes were supposed to look like red smooth jewels, but they opted again to have her eyes look normal. The contracted demon attached to Abracadabra is Mictlantecutli. These first 4 techniques are related to magic. Chainbind. I think Chainbind is a reference to Harry Houdini, born Eric Weiss. Despite being seen as more of an escape artist, his escapes were seen as magic. Most of his fame comes from him escaping from being bound in chains. Illusion Charge. Magic as we've seen it performed oftentimes relies on illusion, which is why illusion is often used as a descriptor for stage magic. Charge in this context is moving forward full force. Levitation. Levitation is a very popular form of illusion that has been seen plenty over time. One of the most famous forms of this is David Copperfield's straight up flying. Scrap illusion. Like I mentioned already, illusions are often used in stage magic, but scrap in this context may refer to the things Bayonetta produces from her hat. These things include a spiked wheel, a police car, and the missile with a skull on it. These next 2 techniques involve electricity, as that's the main property of Mictlantecutli. Lightning Streak. A lightning streak or streak of lightning is a flash of lightning. The idiom like a streak of lightning refers to something extremely fast, which fits the description of Bayonetta tearing herself apart further and quickly getting closer again to her other half. As a side note, the Demon Masquerade form itself may reference the sawing a lady in half trick. Tesla coil. A Tesla coil is an electrical resonant transformer circuit designed and invented by Nikola Tesla in 1891. Over time, it began to be used for educational or entertainment purposes or novelty lighting. These next 7 techniques have to do with cards. Doppelkopf. Doppelkopf, sometimes called Doko, is a card game for 4 players. It is popular in Germany as that's where it originates from. I'll read a definition that explains it better. A trick-taking game for 4 players popular chiefly in the northern half of Germany, consisting of several rounds in which the players are assigned to 2 initially unrevealed sides of 2, most often played with 2 decks from 9 to ace. Guillotine. So, a guillotine is a device designed to efficiently carry out executions by beheading. Its best known usage is in France, which is where Bayonetta Beta 4 resided in. The last person to be executed was Hamida de Jean Dobie on September 10, 1977 for torturing, kidnapping, and murdering a 22-year-old woman named Elizabeth Bosquet. There's a card game named Guillotine that was released on Bastille Day in 1998, and it is set during the French Revolution. There's also a magic trick called Guillotine where an illusion of decapitation is displayed. Flop Burst. This might be a stretch, but flop is a term in community card poker. In the most popular community card game, Texas Hold'em, the flop is when 3 community cards are dealt face up after each player has received their 2 private cards. Reverse card. Uno reverse card. Shuffle. Shuffling refers to the act of randomizing a deck of cards. Afterwards, the deck is typically cut to ensure no cheating has been done by the shuffler. Straight flush. A straight flush is a hand in poker. It is the best possible hand when not using wild cards like a joker. It consists of 5 cards in order, and they're all the same suit. The best straight flush is a royal flush, which consists of an ace, king, queen, jack, and 10. Wild card. A wild card in card games refers to a card that can represent another, albeit with restrictions depending on the game. The most well-known is probably a joker. The next 2 techniques names relate to the big bats that come out of Abracadabra. Plump Crump is describing the plump bat that you ride on top of where you look like you're balancing on a ball. It's a plump bat that explodes on contact. Crump means a loud thudding sound, especially one made by an exploding bomb or shell. Plump Wing isn't as descriptive as it doesn't really relate to the move as much either. Plump Wing just has the bat increase in power. Bats have wings. These last 2 don't really fit in any general category, so I'll do them one by one. Splash. So splash typically refers to liquid when it's struck or moved in. When Bayonetta uses splash, the bats appear to move in a splash-like motion on contact with an enemy. I'm guessing this is what it's referring to. Swindle. To swindle is to use deception to deprive of money or possessions. This technique fits Bayonetta Beta 4 more than it fits Abracadabra. Her life's work is to retrieve Umbran artifacts in any manner she can, which as a phantom thief I would assume includes swindling someone. The Masquerade Rage move for Abracadabra is Joker's Wild. The phrase Joker's Wild comes from the practice of using the Joker card to be a wild card, so it can represent other cards. In fact, it's probably supposed to be Joker's Wild with an apostrophe S, meaning it would be Joker is Wild. It would be said by a dealer to let the players know that Jokers will represent wild cards for this game. When activating it, Bayonetta says,
Gather round. Our light show is truly magical.
and Jean says,
Come on, get a closer look. Don't be afraid of a little magic.
Mclanticutli's Demon Masquerade divides the body in 2, and the 2 parts are colored the same as the 2 brothers. The 2 halves are connected by electricity, and each half has a pair of bat wings. The top half's bat wings are on her head, and the bottom half's wings are on her thighs. The inside of the wings have this intricate pattern seen in the concept art. The bottom half has a tail that resembles Mclanticutli's tail. This is a very unique Demon Masquerade since its main eyes are blue and it appears to have 4 additional eyes. However, if you look down at the bottom half, she has 6 eyes there too, and these eyes are red like they normally are. The eyes appear to be empty and shiny. The contracted demon for Alruna is Alraune. These first 6 techniques are related to roses. Code of Rose. Big brain assumption here. The Rose Code is a book published on March 9th, 2021, which is a few months before the release of Bayonetta 3. So maybe if the technique names were decided late, then maybe. It's about 3 women, with one of them being named Mab, and if you remember, the Queen of Fairies is named Queen Mab in the description of Mob Dachi. Just saying. Damask Addiction. Damask roses are rose hybrids made from the Gallic rose and the musk rose. Damask roses are commercially harvested because of their scent for rose oil. The oil is used in perfumery and to make rose water. Piercing sweetness. I put this here because of the word piercing because of the thorns on the rose. That's it. Rigid thorn and wild thorn. Rigid thorn and wild thorn are named after the thorns roses have. Rose thorns aren't actually thorns though. These are technically prickles, which are growths growing out of the stems. Thorns are modified stems. Rose hip knockout. A rose hip is the accessory fruit of roses. Usually it's red to orange, but it can be dark purple and black in some species. Accessory fruits are fruits that contain a significant amount of tissue that is different and in addition to a mature ovary and seeds. The next 4 techniques are plant related but not necessarily rose related. Basal shoot, frill shoot, and side shoot. A plant shoot is any plant stem together with its appendages, leaves, and lateral buds, flowering stems, and flower buds. Basal shoots are shoots that grow from buds on the base of a tree or shrub. A side shoot is a shoot that grows from the side of a plant stem. I couldn't find anything on frill shoots, but when something has wavy edges, it would be frilly. Cereus. Cereus is a genus of cacti. Cacti are from the family Cactaceae, and they are pretty famous for their spines, which, like the rose, are not thorns since cacti spines are modified leaves. The next 3 terms have to do with love. Entwined heart. Entwined means to be interwoven together, and a heart is a common symbol for love. When you say someone's heart is entwined, it is connected to another's heart and they're in love. Perhaps this is what Alraune felt for her husband. Jealous interlude. Jealous is the feeling of envy towards someone else's achievements or advantages. Basically, when you want something someone else has. An interlude is a moment of time that intervenes in something such as a break or an intermission. When Alruna was abandoned by her husband, maybe it was for another, and that might be the reason of being jealous. Twisted love. Twisted love is a love that is perverse or unhealthy. Alruna has unmoving eternal lovers that she has injected with poison to keep them that way. That would constitute a form of twisted love. The next 2 techniques have a sexual theme. Bondage whip. Bondage whip is a reference to whips and their use in bondage. Both of these are commonly thought of when thinking of BDSM. Grind stripper. Grind stripper is pretty self-explanatory on how it relates to the sexual theme, but here I go anyway. Strippers grind. The next technique is in French. Berceau pure. Berceau pure is French for pure cradle. Bayonetta or Jeanne appear to be carried or cradled by the vines that grow from their bodies. The masquerade rage move for Alruna is Erosion de l'amour. Erosion de l'amour is French for erosion of love. Erosion is the gradual diminution or destruction of something. When referring to love, it means a love that is slowly but gradually diminishing. This is probably another reference to Alruna's life before she was a demon. Typically, someone's significant other wouldn't leave them out of nowhere, so it might have been a decrease in love coming from him or both of them. But seeing as how Alruna was devastated, it's most likely just on his side. When activating it, Bayonetta and Jeanne say, Alruna's Demon Masquerade form has purple skin and lots of petals growing from it. The purple skin and flower petals could be a nod to the color of mandrake flowers. The black parts of her design seem to come from Alruna's scaly lower half, which is where the Demon Masquerade stinger comes from. When using her dash, you can see her grow black thorny vines from all over her body, and at the tips of these vines they start to turn pink. Her hair is just 2 long collections of flower petals that are stacked alongside one another in such a way that when you look at the top, it looks like a flower. The black lines all over her body are dark vines with thorns on them. Her face has bulging veins on her cheeks. This is another unique form in that she has no eyes. The contracted demon to cruel Altea is Labulus. These first 3 techniques directly relate to lions since Labulus was changed to being a group of 5 cats instead of a dog. Frost Leo. The frost part refers to ice properties of cruel Altea and Labulus. Leo is one of the constellations of the zodiac and it represents the Nemean lion. The name Leo is Latin for lion, so it might have been simpler than the technique being named after the constellation. Lion's March. Lions are large cats of the genus Panthera. There are 5 contemporary species within the genus Panthera. Aside from lions, the other species are jaguars, leopards, tigers, and snow leopards. Royal Road. Royal Road is a nod to the lion's nickname of King of the Jungle or King of Beasts. Lions are well known throughout human cultures around the world and throughout time. The next 5 techniques deal with cold or ice, which fits the elemental property of cruel Altea. Avalanche Claw. Avalanches are masses of snow, ice, and rocks falling down a mountainside. Claws are curved pointed appendages at the end of a toe or finger. Members of the Felidae family, which are colloquially referred to as cats, are known for their retractile claws. Cold Rush. Cold means of or at a relatively low temperature. Again, just fitting thematically. Rush in this context means to dash towards someone or something in an attempt to attack. Freeze Cannon. Freeze means to cause to become blocked, covered, or rigid with ice. And cannon refers to how it works in the game where it is shot like a cannonball. Orbital Frost. An orbit is the curved path of an object around the star, planet, or moon. Frost is a deposit of small ice crystals formed when temperature falls below freezing. The ice double is swinging around the user as if it's orbiting. Zero Tornado. Zero refers to absolute zero, which is the lowest temperature theoretically possible. This is a 0 on the Kelvin scale, negative 273.15 degrees Celsius, or negative 459.67 degrees Fahrenheit. A tornado is a mobile destructive vortex of winds, but here it's used to refer to cruel Altea's units spinning in a circle. The next 7, I feel, refer to space or sci-fi words. Atomic Drive. Atomic means relating to atoms, which is a common sci-fi descriptor, and drive means to provide the energy to set and keep a piece of machinery in motion. So altogether, it's atoms being used as energy, which kinda happens anyway with anything. Cyclotron. A cyclotron is a type of particle accelerator that repeatedly propels a beam of charged particles in a circular path. It was invented by Ernest Lawrence sometime in either 1929 or 1930. He was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1939 for this. Dimension Cutter. Interdimensional travel and themes are explored plenty of times in sci-fi and even outside of it. Parallel Shot. I think parallel could refer to parallel dimensions or universes, given the nature of this game and the other names of the techniques. Rocket Blow. Rockets have been around for a long time, but when thinking about rockets as a form of space travel, this possibility as reality was first recognized in 1861 by William Leach. Later on in 1961, Yuri Gagarin became the first human being in space. Satellite Ray. When you hear the word satellite, you probably think of a machine placed into orbit for any kind of reason, from weather forecasting to communication relay. But this is known as an artificial satellite. A natural satellite is a celestial body that orbits a planet, dwarf planet, or other small celestial bodies. This is known as a moon. Vertical Drive. Drive in this context is used referring to units going up or down depending on if the move is used right after jumping or if already in the air. The up and down is where vertical comes from. So this last technique doesn't really fit with the others. Quad Gatling. The word quad means consisting of 4 parts, which refer to the 4 units of cruel Altea that attack. Gatling guns are rapid-fire guns, which the move references with rapid combo attacks from the 4 units. Gatling guns are named after their designer, Richard Jordan Gatling. The Masquerade Rage move for cruel Altea is Hypothermal Force. Hypothermal means lukewarm or tepid, but it could also mean relating to hypothermia, which is a condition where one has abnormally low body temperature. Force means strength or energy as an attribute of physical action or movement, so this together means a force of cold. When activating it, Bayonetta says,
The pack is ready to howl. Go, Labulus!
and John says,
I lead this pack. Now let's run wild!
Labolas's Demon Masquerade form has dark gray skin and a design shaped like a lamassu, an Assyrian deity that was a hybrid of a human, bird, and a lion. It also resembles an Urmalulu, a mythical Mesopotamian beast that is a lion centaur. Her wings are on her upper back and are kind of small relative to the body. The hair on the form changes color, and it's white primarily with different colors shining through. It's kind of like when you see oil in water and different colors show up. The eyes are interesting because it looks like the pupils are smaller than usual, and there isn't a defined iris, and it's all red minus the pupil. In-game, the iris is like a red-orange color, but you have to really pay attention to it to notice. The contracted demon attached to Cassiopeia is Kraken. So half of these techniques are stretches for this kind of video, so I encourage you all to think of better inspirations because some of these did stump me. Black Oasis. An oasis is a fertile spot in the desert where water is found. Black refers to the black ink splashes made by Bayonetta when she swims through the ground. Floater. When something floats, it is moving or hovering slowly and lightly in a liquid or in the air, which fits the move. Sverdrup. A sverdrup is a unit of measurement for volumetric flow rate. That is the volume of fluid which passes per unit time. The sverdrup is used in oceanography. Anchor jack. An anchor, which is what Cassiopeia is a device used to secure a vessel to prevent it from drifting due to wind or current. Sweep jack. You're sweeping the floor using the anchor. Jack could be a reference to male coho salmons, or the national maritime flag flown on warships. Steelhead. A steelhead is a rainbow trout when it migrates from freshwater to saltwater. Torpedo wave. A torpedo is an underwater missile designed to be fired from a ship or submarine. Tentacle lagoon. Tentacles are flexible, elongated organs that famously are associated with cephalopods. A lagoon is a stretch of salt water separated from the sea by a low sandbank or coral reef. Southern spike. Southern may refer to the Southern Ocean or the Antarctic Ocean. Weaving dress. I really don't know what to say about this. Weaving through the air, I guess. Moray shallows. Moray could refer to moray eels, which is a family of eels. Shallows are areas where water is not very deep in a body of water. Black entry. Black refers to the black ink seen when performing the move. Entry is the act of entering. Kinda random, I guess. Long cast. Long cast in this context, I assume, is to throw a fishing line far, which is what Bayonetta does with the anchor. Blast harpoon. A harpoon is a barbed missile that resembles a spear used for the purpose of harming or catching large sea creatures. Maelstrom. A maelstrom is a powerful whirlpool in the sea or a river. Brush dumper. Brush dumper is another one that stumped me. Bayonetta attacks with her tentacles all at once in a stabbing motion. The Masquerade Rage move for Cassiopeia is Calypso's Embrace. Calypso's Embrace may refer to the detainment of Odysseus in Homer's Odyssey. Calypso kept Odysseus on her island for 7 years in hopes of marrying him, but she reluctantly let him go after instructed by Hermes on orders of Zeus to let him go. Calypso herself is a nymph in the story, but there are other nymphs named Calypso, such as the one who was a Nereid and another that was an Oceanid, both of which are water nymphs. When activating it, Bayonetta says,
Face the surging tide! Drown in the shadowy maelstrom! Weigh anchor!
and Jean says,
Drown in the shadowy maelstrom! Weigh anchor!
Kraken's Demon Masquerade has indigo skin. Just like Kraken, Bayonetta has 10 tentacles in this form. 2 coming out of her head, 2 replace her arms, 2 replace her legs, and 4 come out of her back. The cephalopod with 10 tentacles is known as a squid. Technically, a squid only has 2 tentacles. A cephalopod limb is different from its tentacles. Cephalopods are members of the class Cephalopoda, which contains squids and octopuses as well as cuttlefish and nautiluses. There are small spots throughout her skin, and this may be a nod to chromatophores, which are used by cephalopods to change color. Bayonetta has 10 eyes in this form, and they're all shaped like an octopus's eye. An octopus's eye has a rectangular pupil, but it can appear shaped like an infinity symbol. Scarborough Fair and Love is Blue. Bayonetta's returning signature handguns remain mostly unchanged, yet I do have some things to talk about. First, I'll name all the moves that we are completely familiar with by name. These moves are Panther Within, Crow Within, Umbran Spear, Afterburner Kick, Heel Slide, Heel Stomp, Heel Tornado, Witch Strike, Stiletto, Witch Twist, Tetsuzanko, Bullet Climax, and Charge Bullet. The remaining 4 moves we already knew about, but they are given official names within the game for the first time. These techniques are Machete Wing, Full Moon Shoot, Rising Barrel, and Full Auto. For Scarborough Fair and Love is Blue, Bayonetta does not have a Demon Masquerade form, and thus has no Masquerade Rage moves for these 2 weapons. Instead of Demon Masquerade forms, Bayonetta uses Beast Within. The ornaments on Beast Within match the main outfit that the weapon first appeared in. When we have these equipped, Madama Butterfly should have been in the old design outfit the way she was when we played as Bayonetta 1 against Singularity. Also, instead of a Masquerade Rage move, we should have had Serious Mode or Umbran Climax depending on the guns. The contracted demon attached to Rodin is Rodin. Fun, I know. For these first 7 techniques, they directly relate to Rodin. Ballista Kick, Heaven Piercer, Profound Wings, Wing Flash, and Wings of Infinity all utilize Rodin's demon wings. Disaster Glare works similarly to how Rodin shoots lasers from his eyes, but with the twist of Bayonetta twirling around. True Temper is the charge modifier for the demon weapons and makes the weapons bigger and more powerful. The next 4 have to be my favorite. If you've seen the More Infernal Demons video, or you just remember any of the Infernal Demon entries, you'll recognize the naming conventions used. Agony Gear. Agony Gear uses the weapon dropped by Pain. Pain is known as the driver of Agony. Enmity Reaper. Enmity Reaper uses the weapon dropped by Hatred. Hatred is known as the holder of Enmity. Extremist Edge. Extremist Edge uses the weapon dropped by Sloth. Sloth is the embracer of extremes. Swindler's Sword. Swindler's Sword uses the weapon dropped by Resentment. Resentment is the Swindler of Progress. The next 5 techniques relate to Christianity, since Rodin is pretty heavily implied to be based on Lucifer, the fallen angel from Christianity who became Satan or the devil. Baptism, communion, confirmation, and repentance are 4 of the sacraments in most Christian churches. Baptism or christening is a purification ritual used for initiation. Communion or the Eucharist is a Christian rite that is when you eat the body of Christ. Confirmation is essentially a profession of faith where one confirms their membership in the church. Repentance or penance is when one confesses to their sins and then repents. Piercing Gospel. The Gospel is the teachings of Christ and the record of Jesus' life and teaching in the first 4 books of the New Testament. The Masquerade Rage move for Rodin is Pandemonium's Gate. Pandemonium's Gate may reference the capital of hell in John Milton's epic poem Paradise Lost, published in 1667. The capital was built by fallen angels. The word pandemonium is made of Greek words pan and daimonion. Pan means all or every, and daimonium was interpreted by Christians to mean little demon and later just demon. So pandemonium roughly means all demons. Gate could refer to the entrance to the city, and it might also be a nod to the gates of hell, the bar owned by Rodin. The weapons used are angel weapons. These include Affinity A's Staff, Acceptance A's Spear, Acceptance B's Harp, Accolade B's Hammer, Accolade C's Twin Swords, and Accolade D's Shield. When activating it, Bayonetta says,
Fancy a taste of infinite power!
and Jean says,
Your pain will be infinite! Now, back off!
Rodin doesn't have a Demon Masquerade form per se. Instead, Bayonetta or Jean simply utilize Rodin's demon wings to glide and his limbs at the end of combos. Not a contracted demon, but Cheshire is attached to Mob Dachi through the Cheshire Cat doll on the hilt. Some of Viola's techniques come from her parents and others come from music. There are a few that just kinda come from nowhere in particular. Full throttle. Full throttle is Viola running as fast as she can, which fits the definition. It can also mean going all out or at max effort, but since Viola is running, it's most likely referring to max speed. Grapple gun. Viola's grappling hook is foreshadowing to Luca being her father, as this is what he uses all the time. Crystal feather. Crystal feather refers to Viola's wings she gets access to after discovering she's part fairy when Luca stabs her. Shredder. Shredder could refer to shredding on a guitar, which is when you play a guitar very fast. Witch time. Witch time is a skill Viola receives from her teachings as an Umbra witch in training. It allows her to use blocking to slow down time. Torture attack. Performing torture attacks is another skill Viola learned as an Umbra witch in training. Shinobi slide. Shinobi, also known as a ninja, is a covert agent, mercenary, or guerrilla warfare expert in feudal Japan. It comes from the phrase shinobi no mono, which means a person of stealth and perseverance. Upstroke. An upstroke is a guitar strumming technique used in ska, rocksteady, and reggae music. Upstrokes are used when the guitarist wants to emphasize higher notes in a specific chord. Tom-tom balloon. A tom-tom, or just a tom drum, is a cylindrical drum with no snares. The tom drum comes from Asia, specifically the Sinhala people of Sri Lanka, and their drum called tama-tama. Bass boost. Bass boost refers to bass music, which came from the 1980s, and it focused on a prominent bass drum or bass line sound. When a song is bass boosted, the low frequency sounds of the song are amplified. Syncopated growl. Syncopated means characterized by displaced beats or accents so that the strong beats are weak and vice versa. Afterburner kick. Afterburner kick is a move that comes from Bayonetta, so it was probably taught to Viola by her mother. Chromatic moon. Chromatic could refer to the chromatic scale, which is 12 notes arranged in ascending or descending order of pitch in a row. Moon is there to involve the Umbra Witch source of power. Disc charger. This comes from disc changer or a CD changer, which is a device that holds multiple CDs, allowing the user to play any of them. Hungry hi-hat. A hi-hat is a combination of two cymbals and a pedal all mounted on a metal stand. The cymbals can be played by using the pedal or striking them with a drumstick. Windmill Pete. So this is a fun one. There's a guitar move that is performed by swinging your arm like a windmill sail. This move is credited to Pete Townsend of the English rock band The Who. Dodge offset. Dodge offset is a technique performed by Bayonetta, so maybe this is taught to Viola, but this is more of a player technique to learn rather than an in-universe thing. Wah-wah. Wah-wah is an imitative word for the sound of altering the resonance of musical notes to extend expressiveness. Here's an example. My name is. This is a move that directly refers to Viola since she charges Bold Kiss and shoots them in a V formation, which is her initial. Star in the Black. Do you want to hear the biggest stretch I can possibly make? Black Star Amplification is a British company that produces guitar amps. When Viola performs this, the darts line up in a star pattern before exploding. The Masquerade Rage move for Mob Dachi is Wake Up. When activating it, Viola says,
Okay, I can do this.
or
Harakiri!
Harakiri is Japanese for cutting the stomach, and it's another word for seppuku. Seppuku is a form of Japanese ritualistic suicide by disembowelment. Harakiri refers to the act itself, while seppuku refers to the ritual. Harakiri uses the same kanji as seppuku, but it is written in reverse order with an okurigana, which is a kana suffix that follows kanji stems in Japanese written words. While not exactly a Demon Masquerade move since Viola isn't fusing with any demon, this is activated the same way as the others. Viola becomes enveloped with her fairy power, which she gets from her father. Viola's skin becomes covered in short, dark purple fur that still gives her a humanoid outline. However, some parts of her form have long pink hair, including a short pink tail. A lot of her design takes cues from Lucas Strider design. Her hair is completely pink in this form, and her eyes are pink as well. Dark red crystals fall from her randomly.
Quite the captivating show.
Thank you all so much for watching. I've been pretty busy recently, but it's good to be back making something. Again, I'm so thankful for all your comments and support. Please let me know if I missed something. It's always good to learn some new things when I miss them. I hope to see you all next time, and I hope you're all enjoying Bayonetta Origins. While I was skeptical about it at first, I am actually really enjoying it, but I haven't finished yet. Thank you again for joining me, and I'll see you later.